There are many mistakes you can make when filming, like having shaky footage, by accidentally formatting a memory card. I've been there, but there's one that is unforgivable, but that I see happening so freaking often, and that's overexposing the image. This is unforgivable because you should be protecting the person in your shot, their skin tones at all costs, because this is what makes them human. And when you mess this up, not only does it make your footage look extremely amateur, but it takes people right out of the story that you're telling. But I'm gonna show you how, and I'm not joking, that I've literally never messed this up in my career. I've never overexposed someone's face. Now, I have underexposed images because, you know, I like my dark, moody vibe. But I'm gonna show you exactly what I do on set and how I do this and how you don't have to mess up your shots anymore. There's a couple tools we're gonna talk about today and a couple techniques because, dear God, so many people are messing this up every day that it makes your films look like. Let's fix this today. So how do you nail down exposure? Well, the three ways I approach it is with false colors, it's toggling the LUT, and it's looking at the log. And I'm doing it actually in that process. I'm gonna show you how I do this right now. So for me, the number one tool I have in order to nail my exposure is false colors. And that's this page here on my small HD monitor. I prefer the small HD one. I find it very easy to read. As you can see here, it's very clear what is overexposed, what is underexposed. Green means good. This is around the 70 IRE mark. That's where you usually want to hit your skin tone. You can see my LUT over here. When I swipe back over to this page, it looks great. And you can see my log. And that's actually the process I'm doing. I'm constantly flipping between my LUT and my false colors. Now, I'll occasionally run over to the log to see what the actual image that I'm recording is doing, but I wanna know closer to what I'm gonna be doing in the edit on set than making any guesses. So I'm monitoring all my footage with my LUT and constantly flipping over to the false colors here to make sure I'm nailing my exposure. Why am I using false colors instead of a waveform? Well, waveform's down at the bottom here, and I'll actually bring over this waveform here. I just don't find waveforms that helpful. I can't read them that quickly. If you're super technical, you might prefer it, but for me, I wanna quickly glance at an overall image and know exactly where I'm overexposed and where I'm underexposed. So let's talk about false colors and how to read them. Well, you can see this little graph here along the bottom. At the far end, you have this fuchsia color, that means 0. You can kind of see back there like my computer monitor and that desk chair. If we flip to the actual image here, you can see they're very dark. That's true black. And over on the other side here, red is overexposed. And as you can see from this image, I have nothing overexposed. Perhaps if I bring out this light here and I turn it on, you can see in the false colors, it is red, telling me overexposed. And why that helps you is you'll know by going over to your false colors, red means there is no more data, or it's 100% data. I will not be able to recover that. Whereas if I begin lowering the exposure here, well, still, it's clipping, but you can see the yellow in between there now. That's up now past 75. I could actually recover what's happening in between those dots, but still, I know this is overexposed, so I may not wanna have it in the shot. So when I'm setting up my shots and setting up my lighting, I'm looking to get that green on the light side of the person's face. I don't care so much about the shadows. You can see here over here in the shadows, we're down here in this kind of 25%, that's okay, but I'm looking at the key side. This is where my main light is, and right now I'm using an Aputure 6090 softbox to light me. A softer light is really helpful for when exposing because you're gonna have more control. It's not gonna be as harsh like you saw. This harsh light with no modifier is gonna be clipping, but when I use a nice big softbox like I have here, it's easier to expose. But I'm gonna bring down the levels here on this just with my remote. And you'll see as I bring the light down my key, I'm now in this more of the 35 to 40% range. So when I flip back over to my LUT, you can see it's starting to be underexposed. And this is what blows my mind is a lot of people just always monitor in log. As you can see with the log right here, if we take the image off, it looks great. Everything's bright, it's awesome. But then when we go to buy our latest LUT that we saw from our favorite YouTuber and we apply it to the footage because we weren't monitoring exposure, we suddenly realize that it's very dark and that this image is actually underexposed. We thought by looking at the LUT that, hey, I can see all the skin, we have shadows here, but as you can see when we go over to the false colors, is that we're actually underexposed. We would need to be boosting this light up. So I'm gonna add some more exposure here. And this is literally what I'm doing. When I'm lighting someone on set, I just pull up the false colors and I'm waiting till I can get their skin green. Green means go, green means good. Green means that you're ready to shoot. And then, like I said, if I'm not sure totally what's happening to the image, I still will glance over to my log just to know what's being recorded. So remember that order: false colors, LUT, log, FLL. Move through the process that way. But you might be also saying, so Mark, the solution to exposure is getting a monitor with false colors? Well, yes, absolutely. If you don't know what's actually hitting the sensor, if you don't know the data that you're recording, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's just guesswork. So get a monitor. Even the new cheaper Action 5 monitor from Small HD gives you false colors. Now, and in my experience, Small HD has the best false colors. I don't love the false colors that other camera systems offer or other monitors. I just don't find them that easy to read that quickly.
Like what you're seeing here, we start with fuchsia and blue, which kind of makes sense, but then into like 3 different shades of gray. Dark gray, a little less gray, randomly some green, medium gray, pink, then lighter gray. The only thing that makes sense is the yellow and the red at the top here. This is no comment on Mateo, who shot this clip here, but it is a comment on this false color system. To me, it completely confuses me, and I can't look at it that quickly and know on set if I'm nailing my exposure. And now a few other tools you may want when you're exposing. If you can see here with my shirt, as I increase this, my skin is doing just fine, but my shirt here now is starting to go yellow. When people ask me what they should wear, I don't think about the patterns thing. I just try to help people avoid white as much as possible because it is so reflective. So if you saw this, if I were to go get a jacket, we haven't adjusted any of the lighting. We've just added a color into the frame here. That's one other way to adjust your exposure, is actually adjust the colors in frame. Is if you have really white reflective things, either avoid shooting them or give someone a new shirt. Or if I have a variable ND here, you should pretty much have this on your camera at all times unless you're shooting at night. People always laugh at me that I have a variable ND on my Sony FX6 or FX9 because they already have an internal ND. But the thing is, in bright sunlight, when shooting wide open on a lens, it's not enough internal ND on those. I want to be able to control the amount of light hitting my sensor at all times. I'm not taking any risks. So get a variable ND and use it, like I said, at all times, unless it's nighttime, because then you don't really need it. Polar Pros are some of my favorite. Put a link below to some of their gear as well. A few other quick tips is if you can't control the exposure, if you're not in an environment where you have the ability to change the light, is shoot backlit. You have to get creative sometimes, and sometimes this means not getting the shot you ideally wanted, but if it means that you're saving the skin tone and the shot will continue to look professional because it's not blown out, for me, this is a better compromise. And if you like this video, then you'll definitely love The Art of Documentary. This is our course in Academy. We have over 140 videos between our 3 modules. But what's exciting about AOD is we don't just talk about the technical like I did today. We help you actually become a filmmaker. There's a lot of courses out there that help you become a videographer, learn the technical. But if you want to be a real filmmaker, you need to learn how to tell stories. And The Art of Documentary helps you find those stories, craft them in the pre-production, learn how to shoot them, and never get stuck in the edit. And we know that it does this because we've seen thousands of filmmakers come through Art of Documentary, some of them have never even picked up a camera, and they've gone on to complete their first films, get them into film festivals, and we're seeing students now get into Netflix, BBC, creating incredible films for companies like the NFL. This could be your chance to take that next big step in your journey. There's stories that are on your heart and your mind, and the world needs them. The world needs your voice, and you don't have to do it alone. So check out The Art of Documentary. We only open the doors for a few weeks, twice a year. Thanks for watching this one, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.